And welcome back to Brick Gaming yugioh. Before I get into the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you guys subscribe, it really helps out the channel, really helps me grow to a bigger audience, and that can also really encourages me to put out more content, do more videos, talk more about the game. So definitely subscribe, definitely like this video if you are enjoying the content I'm throwing up, and comment with what you think. So today I want to talk about something kind of interesting, and kind of a theory, I guess, in a way, to how I think, with major events, what decks work and what decks don't work. And I think it also comes down to individual players, but I kind of want to talk about, like, if you're going to go to a YCS per se, and you're going to play a deck, what deck will help you the most, or like, which deck will most likely allow you to win? So, usually what I'm hearing first, whenever, like, I talk about, like, what's the best deck in the game, everyone always, like, pretty much has an idea of what the best deck is. And there are a lot of really good decks. You're not going to be, like, normally, you're not going to be taking, like, a rogue deck to, like, Nationals or YCS, but at the same time, everyone really wants to take the best deck. So, in my personal opinion, if you're going to go to an event, the best deck to bring is something I like to call kind of a medium deck. And what do I mean by medium? I mean a deck where it isn't anything way too crazy or anything where it's like underpowered. It's just right in the middle, medium. So a good example I like to use for a medium deck is Thunder Dragons when they were released. Now Thunder Dragons when they were released, they were pretty good deck. Sure, pretty pricey, but still a really good deck. And the reason they were so good is there wasn't really like a ton of cards where like a lot of cards just really hurt the deck. The deck was really just medium, where you do a set number of plays, and if your opponent hits your plays, it's not too big of a deal. But if your opponent can't hit your plays, then you have a pretty good board going first, but nothing where it's like 5 or 6 negates. It's not like Pendulum, where it's like an insane number of negates or anything crazy, or where your opponent has like an option to hit you like mid combo, and you just completely lose the game. So with a lot of medium decks, in my opinion, from what I've seen, if you hit them with a hand trap like once, twice, even 3 times, sure, it's going to like hurt their combo, but it's not going to completely stop the combo. It's just going to leave them with a slightly more subpar board, versus when you go up against a combo deck, which has like a really high ceiling. Like, the deck is super amazing if it goes through full combo, but if you even hit like once or twice with most hand traps, the deck goes from having a really high ceiling, being really insane, to having a really low floor really fast, where once it hits that floor, there's really no way for that deck to recover or come back. Versus with a medium deck, if you hit them with hand traps, they're still going to remain pretty much medium. Like, there's not going to be a real big shift down or a real big shift up in either direction. The deck just kind of stays on the same level playing field. So, it's never going to be like an insane ending board where it's like 5 or 6 negates, like super insane. It's not going to be like really high ceiling. It's going to be probably mid ceiling, but the floor isn't like the lowest floor ever. It's probably going to be a high floor. So, with that respect, medium decks, just versus hand traps and overall, are really good. Now, another reason I think medium decks are really good is because either going first or second, the decks definitely have play options. So you're playing like a combo deck or a stun deck. Like, let's just say you're playing straight up stun. As soon as you go into that match, you basically have to win a dice roll or you lose the game for the most part. I'm not saying that that's always going to be what happens. As I said, some players are better with certain decks. But just for the average player going to average event, takes a stun deck, they're probably not going to do well because they're on average going to lose 50% dice rolls, and they're only winning 50% dice rolls, and they're just going with the most average white player and using the most average stun deck ever, then they're going to lose about 50% of their game. Versus if someone's playing a combo deck, now combo decks can go second, but it's not preferable. So I would say like they're probably winning 3/4 of their game is their average player, and with an average deck. If they're using a really good deck and a bad player, then it's probably going to average out again, maybe a little bit lower, since a lot of times the player who's playing the deck usually has the most impact on how they do with the deck. So also the other thing about medium decks is usually there's not a lot of insane combos where it's like a super long combo where there's like a lot of different things that a player has to do and has to know. Generally, like for example, like let's use Salmon Grates for example, since that deck's still relevant in a way. So the thing with Salmon Grates is once you know the first turn basic play structure, you only ever really have to see it once. In my opinion, anyways, you only ever have to really see it once. And you know exactly how it goes through your play super fast. And I feel like it's Salmon Grate. Before ban list was definitely on the higher side of medium decks, but still kind of fit in with a lot of other medium decks, where it wasn't like super insane, but if your opponent couldn't out resource you, you won the game. Like with Salmon Grate, it always comes down to resources. If you have less resources with Salmon Grate than your opponent, you're losing the game. But if you have more resources, you're automatically winning the game. That's why hand traps were so good in the deck going second. And that's why the deck could go first or second. Once the deck had a way to get to its resources, it was a really hard deck to beat. And with that, against that matchup, it was all about resource management and how you manage your resources versus your opponent. Now, your opponent can be horrible with resource management, playing Salmon Grate, but still win with Salmon Grate because the deck really didn't like brick, really didn't have any like super amazing hands, but also didn't have any like super bad hands. So that's kind of like where my opinion comes in with a lot of medium decks. You don't need to be the best player. You just have to be an average or above average player to do well with the deck. And really, you just have to know about interactions. And interactions are easy to learn. It's just test playing with your deck is all you need to do and knowing the basic combos. That's why I think medium decks are usually the best decks for events. Like if you take a combo deck to an event, you have to be really well versed in the combos, really well versed in the interactions. At least, in my opinion, an above average player, because if you go into an event and you don't know the combos or you don't know interactions or even just have like above average like knowledge of the game, you're probably not going to do the best with the deck. Not saying like you won't like maybe like do well or maybe even make day 2, but your chances of doing well with the deck become super low. And I would also, in my opinion, almost never take a stun deck to a large event. And I'm not saying that because, you know, stun decks are bad. I mean, they're good at locals. Like, you can probably go X1 or go XO at locals with a stun deck. But if you go to a major event with stun, and unless the stun deck has some insane thing that can set up first turn, you're probably not going to do well. Or, like, have a way to break your opponent's board going second. Then there's probably not much you can do. That's why I think bigger statues have already seen their best days. Same with a lot of Demise decks. I think the only Demise decks that are still good, in my personal opinion, are True Draco. True Draco can still do stuff, but I think, like, for right now, it's probably not going to do too much events, but hey, who knows? We'll have to see. And then the other deck that I think can do well as Demise deck is Gravekeepers, because Gravekeepers have Royal Tribute going first, which can beat a lot of Pendulum decks, a lot of decks along that line. And going second, the deck also has a really big fusion guy that can just be like a 3300 beer that basically is really hard to get off the field. So, and also protects Necro Valley. So I feel like that deck is one of the better decks for Demise. Versus like other decks like, as mentioned, Beer Statue. Or if it goes second, the deck's basically losing. So that's why I think, like, in my opinion, just if you go with a medium deck, doesn't have to be a controlled deck. Like, Thunder Dragon, I felt like was only slightly controlled, and that was only because of Colossus. Outside of that, it was just an average, kind of just medium deck. Like, there's not really many ways you can describe a medium deck. Like, I would try to describe it in more ways, but it's really whatever deck is the most steady in the format. Like, whichever deck loses least to hand traps and has the first and best going second game, but isn't, like, super combo oriented. Or, like, if you don't, like, it's hard to explain a little bit, but basically, whenever I look at a medium deck, the thing I'm looking for is, A, how does this deck do against hand traps? B, how does it interact with other decks? C, what is the ending board? And finally, D, how high is the ceiling? How low is the floor? And where does it end in between those two? So that's usually what I look at for a medium deck. You guys like this type of video, kind of discussing like decks and how decks work? Let me know in the comments below and like this video. Also, of course, subscribe. More subscribers, the better. the more I feel like throwing out content, throwing out more videos, all of that fun stuff, all of the above. Thank you guys for watching so much. I'll see y'all in the next video. Brick Gaming yugioh signing out.